Here we are on the eve of the Switch 2's release, but with any new release, there's always the expectation that the previous generation of games are going to become harder to find and go up in price as well. Today, I'd like to share with you 5 games that I think you should be considering getting now, before they become even harder to find or the price goes up more than they already have. Let's check it out. Okay, jumping right into it. The first game I'm going to recommend to you, ARMS. ARMS is a 3D fighting game developed and published by Nintendo. It was one of the earlier Switch titles released in 2017, and because of that, I feel like it flew under the radar some. Since it was discontinued in retail stores, I've only seen it once or twice in a GameStop or a local video game store within the past 7 or 8 years. Now in this game, you take control of a fighter, which sort of feels like a Rock'em Sock'em Fighter if you remember that game from being a kid. And you perform fighting actions using extendable arms. The moves are relatively simple in that you can punch, throw, block, and dodge. Some of the levels also have bombs that you can punch into your opponents to make them explode and deal greater damage. There's also a battle mode where you do things such as play volleyball or basketball against your opponent, as well as a target breaking mode and a survival mode. Now with the release of Switch 2, this game is also receiving a performance update to include improved visuals, frame rate, and HDR support. This game has already been what I would consider to be uncommon, borderline difficult to find, and I imagine will only become more sought after with the release of Switch 2 and the performance enhancements, especially if this game is not re-released or remastered. Another game I think you should be getting, Cruisin Blast. So this game's interesting in that it was originally released for arcades in 2017. Now over Memorial Day weekend, I happened to be at a beach that had an arcade on the boardwalk, and this game was in it. I spent some time playing the arcade version, and it was so much fun, I sunk a decent amount of quarters into it. Now fast forward to 2021, and this game is released for the Nintendo Switch, but doesn't get released for any other console or PC. This has been a recurring theme with the Switch these past years, where arcade exclusives get ported over to the Switch and completely skip Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. Now with the Switch release, they did include all of the original arcade tracks, but they also added in some additional modes, cars, and tracks. Now this game is what you would expect from the Cruisin series. The racing isn't realistic at all, and it feels very much like an arcade racer. You plow through other cars without taking damage, you experience extreme jumps or drops in levels, and just have so much over-the-top things going on, from dinosaurs roaming the tracks to flying saucers flying in the sky. This is one of those games that I could see being overlooked, but then highly sought after in a few years because it was ported over only to the Switch, and not many people talk about this game. Next up, we have Kirby Star Allies. So this game was released on the tail end of the first year of the Switch's lifetime. So this was early 2018. And initially received mixed reviews from critics. On the one hand, the game was praised for its graphics and soundtrack, but also criticized for its lack of depth and low level of difficulty. For me personally, I don't mind games that are a little bit on the easier side. Sometimes we all need a break from games like Elden Ring, so this is basically a palate cleanser for me. Now in this game, Kirby is able to travel through levels with up to 3 allies who can assist with various obstacles on the map. For example, if there's a waterfall on your path, and you need to light something on fire on the other side of the waterfall, one of your allies can hold up an umbrella to shield you from getting wet, so that you can get the fire over to the other side of the level. Now admittedly, I didn't get too far into this game, as I was playing just by myself, and the whole teaming element of switching off with allies just didn't appeal to me playing by myself versus playing with friends. And I would imagine playing this game with 1 or up to 3 friends would be a pretty fun time. And it's likely something you could knock out in a single evening with some pizza or something. So the reason I'm putting this game on the list is that I've seen some of the other Kirby games on other consoles gradually become hard to find over the years and rise in price. Also, this one has been eclipsed on the Switch by some of the other Kirby games, like Kirby and the Forgotten Land or Kirby's Return to Dreamland, and a lot of people tend to forget that this one even exists. Because of that, this game has the potential to be one that is sought after in later years. I recommend you pick it up now if you can find it. Next up, No More Heroes. So No More Heroes was first released on the Wii in 2007. Within the past 5 years, it's also been ported over to both the Nintendo Switch and PC. Now throughout the game, the player controls the character Travis Touchdown, who is currently ranked the number 11 top assassin in the world and is on a quest to become number 1. The game has a free-roaming and open world, and the gameplay is largely open-ended, with the one condition being that you must kill the other top 10 assassins to progress the mainline story. Now this game is a hack and slash that doesn't take itself too seriously. There's a lot of crude and immature humor to it, and the fight scenes are incredibly unbelievable and over the top, and there is no shortage of blood. It's very much like a Quentin Tarantino movie in that respect. The physical copy of this game has been creeping up in price over the past few years, so now's the time to pick this one up before it becomes even harder to find. And last but not least, Ware. Get it together. So in this game, Wario and his friends find themselves sucked into Wario's latest video game console and must participate in the microgames themselves. As such, the game has up to 2 players that you can control, and you randomly alternate between them during microgames. Characters are controlled using directional stick and a single button, with each character behaving differently in how they perform moves and what actions they can do. So for example, Wario flies around in a jetpack and can perform a shoulder charge, but others ride scooters and control boomerangs in the air, or can only move in stationary positions and hook around with things on rings. These unique abilities mean that each character has different ways of clearing the same microgame, which definitely helps to add a layer of replayability to this game as well. Also, it makes choosing your character very important before deciding to start level progressions, because some of them might get more easily frustrated on different levels than others. So it's important to know who you're dealing with and what might be coming around the corner. So like any Wario game, this is just party-style minigames. It's very quirky, it's very irreverent in its humor. It's very much like the other Wario games that you would expect out there. But the reason I'm recommending it on this list is because, similar to the discussion around the Kirby games, the Wario games also typically tend to go up in value once the life cycle of the system has completed. So I could definitely see these WarioWare Get It Together and then the WarioWare, whatever the other one's called. I could definitely see the WarioWare Get It Together game going up in price in a few years. So grab a copy of it now if you don't have it. So there we have 5 games that I recommend you acquire now on the Nintendo Switch 1 before the release of Switch 2. And as always, I want to thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and we'll catch you next time.